I'm Abby, and welcome to my YouTube channel, 1 Minute Off. In advance, I am sorry if you just hear random banging. That's my neighbors. Hopefully it will subdue eventually. Thank you for joining or rejoining me today. And settle in, because we are going to talk about exactly what the internet has been unable to not talk about for the past week or so.
Oh, wow! Wow! Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
If you haven't, already guessed by the everything about me in my channel, I don't really keep up with the Oscars, and I never really have religiously kept up with the Oscars. Though I do have, vague memories of sitting around a TV screen with my sister up really late at night because my parents wanted to, see the celebrities for some reason. But even they kind of lost interest in the Oscars and Academy Award shows in general by the time I was 12, and Twitter was already a thing by then, so the Oscars were already kind of just becoming, sound bites on Twitter. And yeah, this is gonna be another video joining the list of creators talking about the Will Smith slap incident, but I'm hoping it'll be a little different. We'll see, I guess. I'm pretty sure that I was, born into an era where these big award shows like the Oscars are getting significantly less viewers than they have in decades past. They're sort of dying out, right? And I'm also pretty sure I was born into an era where controversy and drama are better for online growth. More so than, actually putting effort into production or listening to your audiences or anything like that. If you've been living under a rock, or frankly a sane life, and you haven't heard, alleged comedian Chris Rock hosted the 2022 Oscars and proceeded to make a joke regarding Jada Pinkett Smith, or as most men I know recognize her as, Will Smith's wife. The joke was regarding her alopecia, a topic which she had previously talked about and mentioned that she had been pretty sensitive about. After this interaction, Will Smith, or as I like to call him, Jada Pinkett Smith's husband, was laughing, took a look at his wife, saw that her reaction was not great, stopped laughing, and then proceeded to walk up onto stage and after this he walked back to his seat and proceeded to yell further expletives at the comedian, who for his part kind of took the high road and continued on with the show. Thankfully I was asleep when this happened, but the next day it's pretty much all YouTube could talk about, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, and it just, I don't know, it sort of rubbed me the wrong way. A lot of my favorite creators made good and funny videos on this topic, as they should, as, social media commentary channels. But something was kind of nagging at me that didn't really have anything to do with these videos in particular, more so the subject matter. It kind of had to do with the fact this was even a thing, really. And what I mean by that is I'm kind of exhausted by the ways controversy is so blatantly manufactured nowadays that it genuinely makes me sad to think about sometimes. All that aside for now, I'm going to use this latest Will Smith Oscars controversy to sit down and just have a chat about, how if this hadn't happened, I don't think a majority of people my age would even know the Oscars were on. And maybe how the Academy should actually, put an effort into something for once. And how it seems they would rather do anything but that. Ironically, it still didn't gain them the viewership they hoped for, so I don't know. Oops. So, sit back, grab a cold one. This is Coca-Cola. Enjoy me talking at you about the Oscars. The Oscars are a yearly event which takes place in Hollywood and actually began in the year of 1929, which is also the year of the Great Depression. Nice. If you look at any of these old vintage Hollywood Oscar photos, you'll see there's a certain glitz and glamour in them, and a whole lot of white people. It's really all white people. Back in those days, the Oscars were pretty much one of the few times during the year where us sad and average peasants got to witness our idols on the big screen and see them off camera while, still on camera. The Oscars were when, the stars weren't giving the performance of their lifetime or even a lot of interviews. They were just kind of waiting around for something to happen. And there was this feeling that it was kind of exciting, right? To tune in and see these celebrities gain their achievements. The stars, just like us, a little nervous, a little boisterous, a little drunk. And, it was genuinely fun to see someone win an award that they had dreamt of forever. That look on their face, always makes you feel kind of good. Sure, your girlfriend broke up with you because you don't know how to clean your fridge, but Leo finally won one, and look, he's so happy. Good for him. They used to be, you know, kind of the one place that celebrities didn't really have to turn it on all the time. We got to see genuine emotion expressed by these people who really didn't, that's not what their careers are really built on, right? Actors. They didn't have to put up a facade actively talking to a camera or an audience. And, you know, when some of them gave those really genuine, heartwarming speeches afterwards, it felt really nice to see them thank everyone and see them cry. It felt genuine because they didn't know beforehand if they won, you know? It was really sweet. It was sweet. I would never try to knock any, you know, sort of recognition for hard work and something that solidifies an achievement. If only the Oscars were that, though. Over the past few decades, we've literally come miles in terms of production value for things like the Oscars. We've literally created new categories, and that's a beautiful human thing. But nowadays it feels like the Oscars are no longer exciting or exclusive at all. Just this like never-ending thing of ego stroking and also pressure for celebrities to not get caught up in some weird clothing scandal and to, you know, actually keep our attention for more than 20 minutes at a time on a cable TV show, no less. To me, in the modern age now, it feels kind of like almost the opposite, because a lot of celebrities spend a lot of time being themselves on podcasts and YouTube videos, and TikTok is a big one. A lot of us end up feeling like we kind of know what the real deal with these celebrities is already. Like, we know them. So, you know, why would we need to tune into these award shows to see them like fake, you know, their interviews and, you know, fake their personalities and put on this facade when we know that's not what they actually like to do, because they've literally talked about it with Conan O'Brien. Like, we know they hate doing that, and so the whole thing pretty much just feels ingenuine. Let me know how many times during this entire video that I say the word ingenuine, by the way. And, you know, because they're on these podcasts and videos all the time, when they're not talking about their personal lives, they're promoting their movie projects. And this ends up feeling just like a never-ending Oscar campaign, right? All these other award shows leading up to it, all of these like gotcha moments, and all these like fan favorites destined to win, all of the debate around that. It's all just, I don't know. It's all just starting to get kind of boring. It gets boring when we know we're just kind of contributing to like this controversy that's ultimately there to generate promo for a multi-million-dollar movie. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but at the same time, on top of that, you know, no one wants to stay up for the Oscars anymore. No one's gonna sit through like commercial breaks. Why? We have streaming services. And we don't stay up for the Oscars because we're just gonna get all of the important sound bites tomorrow morning when they're on Twitter trending. Or at 3 a.m. when you need to like get up and gulp down an entire glass of water. And then 20 minutes later, when you need to get up and pee again, you need to read something while you're doing so. The stars are literally now just like us, because that's what's popular and that's what people want to see from them. Celebrities in their 40s who don't have TikTok yet are dropping in numbers every single day. The Oscars are just no longer this chance to see celebrities in their like true and nervous human state, because we can literally see that everywhere else, anywhere on the internet now for most of them. So, you know, why would I want to tune in to like this really long show that's kind of just this ego stroking event full of really rich people that I've seen too much of anyways lately? Just watch them fake smile at the camera for 3 hours when I work at 5 a.m. and I can just like listen to a video about it on my commute. And in that same vein, you know, if nobody cares who really wins an Oscar anymore outside of, you know, that room, what does it mean to win an Oscar? Obviously, you know, the idea of it is to, you know, you win an Oscar, you're a big name actor, and you're gonna get more movies because you're a good actor and you've proven it. But if no one's actually watching the show that awards them for doing so, then why should anyone even care about the Oscars? You can't really talk about, you know, box office movie industry without mentioning that pesky little pandemic getting in there and mussying up our stats. And, you know, TLDR, everyone being at home, streaming services skyrocketed. We all know this isn't new. This year was the first year that a movie made by a streaming service actually won an Oscar. There's a lot more to say here, but the bigger point is that the box office industry was dying out, and the pandemic was kind of the last nail in the coffin. Movie-going was already getting a little too expensive and not worth it over watching something at home with insanely priced snacks. And then we all had to be at home anyway, so that's what we did. With all of that happening, and then streaming services having, you know, all the cash and the brand name right now, obviously all these actors want to work with them. They're gonna draw in more audiences that will maybe watch the Oscars than like the box office industry will. The movie industry at this point really only has like the superhero franchise to fall back on, and even that's kind of like, dare I say, dying out a little bit too. And the exact same thing really can be said for cable TV, which is where the Oscars air. Let me read this quote from LA Magazine. Granted, the pandemic and the resulting dearth of theatrical releases contributed to the decline, but the truth is Oscar ratings began plummeting long before COVID-19. At its height in the 1990s, the ceremony was pulling in as many as 55 million viewers in the United States. Even into the 2000s, it was drawing in at least 40 million. But by the 2010s, the number started falling into the 30 millions, and by that decade's end, had dropped further into the 20 millions. The audience for the last pre-pandemic Oscars in February 2020 was 23.6 million, less than half of its one-time peak. Last year, the Oscars drew an all-time low of 9.85 million viewers, less than what an episode of The Big Bang Theory used to get. I know. Big Bang Theory? But it was a popular show with millions of viewers, and none of us can deny that fact. The finale of that show drew in 18 million viewers. Revel in it. Be ashamed. In 2022, the Oscars actually drew in 16.6 million viewers, which is 58% up from 2021's number of, 10.5 million. But last year we were still kind of low-key in the middle of a pandemic, and none of these articles with like their impressive percentages are gonna really mean anything for all the reasons I just talked about when compared to last year, and again when compared to box office numbers, which are just not accurate anymore. On top of that, 16.6 million is not even pre-lockdown Oscar numbers, which again, 23.6 million. I wouldn't exactly call that a win in ratings in the last few years. Now, well, this year's Oscar did do a whole lot better, rising 60% actually in viewership. It's almost completely due to the Will Smith controversy. Not, a heartwarming speech or really any other moment from the Oscars, I think is going to be colloquially remembered from this year. Not a genuine interest in the Oscars itself, but Will Smith and his slap. I don't really know if that exactly is going to translate into like a higher viewership for next year, but it might mean that we'll get an even spicier controversy to debate about on Twitter next time. So clearly, in the end, the Oscars are no longer kind of what they used to be. Definitely become an ego-stroking event for some of the wealthiest people on the planet who receive gifts which could feed a family for years. And that makes sense, doesn't it, when you look at what the Academy is made up of? Currently, the Academy, the group of people who vote for these movies to win Oscars, is made up of essentially 9,500 people who can vote on these movies. Good sample size. According to a survey done in 2014, 76% of those are men, 94% are white, and the average age was found to be 63 years old. So, the group of people in society who really know what the rest of us want. The Academy announced it would double the number of women and minority members by 2020 to foster a more diverse environment. Last summer, the organization announced it had met that goal. The Academy is now 1/3 female and 19% underrepresented minorities. Don't worry, guys, though. The group has also vastly boosted its foreign membership. Now more than 2,100 of them are not American. Obviously, it's not a huge change, but it is a change. However, there's this other little pesky issue of everyone who can vote for Oscars being super rich, or at least having some sort of connection to the wealthy class. In order to become a member of the Academy, you can't apply on your own. You have to be sponsored by two different people who are already in the Academy. So unless you know some Hollywood bigwigs or you've been nominated for an Oscar, you're kind of out of luck here. Perhaps a really good example of just how out of touch the Academy really is from this year. The announcement of taking several categories out of the actual broadcast and putting them before, basically editing these in during breaks and such, rather than giving people like their awards that they won during the national television broadcast. The categories they ended up putting before the show were film editing, makeup and hairstyling, original score, production, design and sound, documentary short subject, animated short, and live action short. Practically in the Academy's own words, these were categories that were below the line and would be best cut for a time, which again, ironic when they almost ran over 45 minutes anyway with this whole slap thing. As a side note, what a horribly ironic thing to do to the poor editor who had to slap this together. Like, first you remove the editing category from the Oscars, then you're like, yeah, but you need to do this. This received a lot of backlash, even causing an open letter to AMPUS from the American Society of Cinematographers, which was actually signed by nearly half of Hollywood to be written against the decision. A version of this actually happened in 2018 too, when they announced a plan to do the same thing to categories of cinematography, editing, live-action shorts, and makeup and hairstyling, which received so much backlash again that they actually decided to reverse the decision back then. However, this was clearly not the big Oscar story of the year. That was, I'm sure you know. In 2016, right, the last time Chris Rock hosted the Oscars, and pre-pandemic times. Where was I? 2016, the Oscars hit an 8-year low with 37 million viewers and a key demo rating of 11 out of 25. Which is not good. And this didn't have anything to do with, hashtag Oscars So White from 2015, which was actually a genuine protest and joined, a series of protests historically that have been held at the Oscars. That is a whole video in and of itself. How the Oscars actually maybe used to be an actual place for celebrities to announce things and protest against big things, but now it's, I don't know if it is anymore. But do you remember what happened in 2017?
We lost, by the way, but,
Guys, I'm sorry. No, there's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
Moonlight, Best Picture.
Yeah. So remember when the most prestigious award show of all time messed up like they had never actually done before in the history of ever airing ever? Yeah, the 2017 Oscars had a viewership of 32 million people, which was down from 2016, but that's actually way higher than it's ever been, ever since. The Moonlight debacle would do two things. One, it would, bring drama to Twitter, who would take the clip, run with it, meme it, what have you. Two, it would rob black actors of an entire moment due to some white guy's dumb mistake. And a whole lot of the debate at the end of the day was surrounding the fact that maybe this whole thing was staged. And maybe not staged, but at the very least done in order to subtly slight black actors and their achievements, and then be able to chalk it off as a mistake. And we could talk till the cows come home about how the Academy and Hollywood and society at large rather do anything but, actually give black people a voice and a platform. But that is a video for another creator. What I do ultimately want to say about the 2022 Oscars event is that Will Smith did a bad and controversial thing on national television in front of millions of people. You can argue about how wrong he was, how you clearly shouldn't slap someone when millions of people are watching, or even if they aren't actually, how right Chris Rock was, how not right Chris Rock was, and what should have happened and what you would have done or whatever all day. But guess what? I feel like to some extent that's kind of what the Academy wants you to do. To say the entire thing was staged, right? As to say the entire Moonlight fiasco, and I don't know, others were completely staged. It feels like that's chalking it up a bit too easily, right? But at the same time, to be just generating such unnecessary online arguments about a celebrity who's been famous forever already and was going to win an Oscar already, doing a bad thing so that he can be in the spotlight for a week outside of the Hollywood bubble, it makes me feel sleepy, dude. There are videos too on here, long ones, arguing that Chris was right, Will Smith was right. There's a stop motion thing that I saw the other day. Someone actually put effort into that. I mean, art is subjective, but there were videos that vehemently stated that Jada Pinkett Smith was actually to blame for the whole thing, which I think is kind of a misogynistic take. They're at the end of the day, they're all fine. There's nothing wrong with stating your opinion on the internet. It's what I'm doing. It's what we're all doing here. But I think there's something to be said about, how useful conversations regarding stuff like this actually are at the end of the day. How many times do I say at the end of the day, too? Wow. Ultimately, no one's gonna remember anything but Will Smith's rage at these Oscars, right? And that, in some sense, does kind of rob all these other people at that event of all the moments they had. And, what does this conversation really do at the end of the day other than just to get celebrities the attention that they wanted the whole time from the younger people who are no longer interested in watching the Oscars? I'm not not trying to, cut anyone down. I'm a small creator. Like, I don't want to say who's right and who's wrong in this. Talk about what's hot in the news. It's what we do on here. But this certain topic and controversy, it's, oh my god, it makes me physically tired to even kind of think and talk about. Like, there's so much drama and there's so many hot takes from it, and everyone's saying like how well the Oscars went this year, how many viewers it had, that it all just kind of seems like it was always meant and manufactured to be that way. Which I know sounds like a bit of a crazy conspiracy theory, but stick with me. Perhaps Chris Rock and Will Smith did fake it. Perhaps they didn't. But somebody somewhere along the line knew that this was the way to get Gen Z to talk about the Oscars again. And maybe watch them again. Get the guy who's gonna win this year to be in some sort of drama. And they'll clip it for Twitter, and they'll talk about it for a month. And maybe they'll even remember it next year when the Oscars come up again and be like, ooh, maybe it'll happen again. It's very sneaky. It's very clever. I'll give the Academy that, I guess. Then actually after a week or so, Will Smith can go on Instagram and post his apology to Chris Rock. And so everyone can get back on Twitter and talk about it just a little more and squeeze just a little bit more juice out of this before whatever controversy takes over and we all talk about something next week. TLDR, I don't think it was faked, really. I just think that it's tiring. And kind of to just go off script a little bit here, there's a lot to say about this, right? People have found all of these different arguments to argue about online. There's been 40-minute videos about how it's actually Jada Pinkett Smith and the fact that she cheated on him, that he slapped Chris Rock. I don't know. Some people are funny. I do hope that I've, made the point I've wanted to make in this video. But it's like this, right? Negative comments, as we know, are still comments. This is how TikTok works, unfortunately. That's what generates views, is more comments, more views. So, something controversial happening equals more people arguing about it, equals more comments, equals more views. That's the basic formula of, I don't know, I guess everything online now. It kind of seems like the Academy just took this idea and rather than, taking into account actual audience criticism and making an effort to show us all something that we might want to actually watch the entirety of, not just the part where Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. They just kind of ran with it. I mean, I don't really want to watch like this display of wealth and arrogance that really just makes me foam at the mouth and again advise people to just delete their Twitters. And that's another big thing about this. A lot of the videos I see on this are all I went on Twitter to see what the reaction... Why? I feel like it's time to cut the cord with Twitter. I made a video about this, but maybe I sound a little narcissistic. It kind of sounds like I sound a little narcissistic about this, but it's not good. We all know it's bad. All these videos of creators that I see when they're saying things like, oh, I went on Twitter, it's the never-ending cesspool that I always like to go down. Why? Why? You could just not. And I'm not trying to, that came off judgy. I'm not trying to judge people for having Twitter. It just seems like it's kind of on its way out, man. Anything you can say within 250 characters now, you can just talk about on TikTok instead. And it kind of feels better. It kind of feels more personable. It kind of feels like on TikTok, yes, you can find things on there that definitely rely on these negative arguments and comments, but you can also find good things, to your algorithm that actually make sense to you and can help and are actually funny, maybe good, ha ha ha. But on Twitter, it's just endless debate. There's nothing, you could scroll through replies for hours and you'd lose so many brain cells. You could do that on TikTok too, but you might learn, I don't know, the best way to clean a cast iron skillet or something also. The thing about this is, if you're a teen and you saw this on Twitter, you probably went over to TikTok or he came up on your FYP. You probably followed Will Smith. He's got millions of followers on there. The comments are also very funny. I kind of like this, that this is it. This is all, he can't post a video anymore, I don't think, on there without getting these comments. Maybe it wasn't completely fake, but it was going to generate controversy. Hollywood's awful, we all know this, but the idea that they're also subscribing to this whole awful mentality instead of adapting for a newer audience, yeah, I don't know, it makes me kind of sad, bro. I think I'm just gonna end it here. I think I have to drink something a little bit more, alcoholic tonight. I could say a lot more, but I hope I said what I wanted to in the right way. What do you think? And God, not about Chris Rock or Will Smith, but more, what do you think about the Oscars, What think? I think they're boring and stupid, and that the Academy needs to do better and try it all, actually. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below. I'm Abby, this is 1 Minute Off, and I'm gonna go scramble up onto my roof and squat like a little gargoyle. Bye!